Hey everyone, in this tutorial I'm going to be teaching you how you can create a safe zone inside of Roblox Studio. So I have this lava pot right here, and if I walk over it, I get damaged. However, if I walk into the safe zone, I get a green outline to indicate that I'm in the safe zone. And if I try walking over the same part again, I do not get any damage. So let's get started. First we need to create a part which will become our safe zone. So let's go over to Workspace, click on the plus symbol and let's insert a part. Now we need to make it a bit bigger, so let's go over to Home at the top and let's select Scale. We can drag these little handles to scale it up, so let's make it a bit higher, like this. Now we need to change some properties. If you do not have this window open, you can go over to View and toggle it over here. So first let's change the brick color. We're going to pick a green color. Now let's search for Transparency and let's set this to 0.5. Now, in order to make it so that players can walk through the safe zone, we need to disable Can Collide. So search for Can Collide and let's disable this. Now select the part, right click it and let's change the name to Zone. Make sure to spell it exactly like this or the code won't be able to find it. Now we need to actually start programming it. So go over to Server Script Service and let's insert a script. First, let's create a variable for the safe zone part inside of the workspace. So local zone equals game.workspace wait for child zone. Now let's create a variable with an empty table which contains all of the players that are currently inside of the safe zone. So local characters in zone equals, and then we're going to put these braces. So now let's create a loop. So while true do. And we're going to make a variable which contains all of the parts that are currently inside of this zone part. So local parts equals game.workspace get parts in parts, and we're going to say zone because we want to check all the parts inside of the zone. Now we're going to make an empty list which contains all of the characters that are currently inside of this zone. So local characters checked equals, and now we're again going to put these braces. So we're going to loop over all the parts, check if they are a player and add them to this list. So for I, parts in pairs parts do. So now we know that there's a part inside of this safe zone. So now we need to check if it's a player. So local humanoid equals parts dot parents find first child humanoid. If humanoids, then so now we know that it's a player, so we can add them to this list. So characters checked, and then we're going to put these brackets and say parts dot parents equals true. So we will add them to this list. Now we will loop over this list and check if they are also in the characters in zone list. And if they are not, we know that they need to receive a force field, which will protect them from any damage. And they also need to receive an outline on their character, and we can add them to this list. So for character, v in pairs characters checked do. If not, character in zone. And now we're going to put these brackets, and inside of these brackets we're going to put character. Then, and now we will create a force field and the outline. So local force field equals instance.new force field. And we can change some properties of the force field. So force field dot parents equals character, and force field dot visible equals false. We will already use the outline as an indication that they are in the safe zone, so we do not need to show the force field, so we can set this to false. So now let's create the outline. So local highlights, oops, spelled this wrong, highlights equals instance.new highlights. And now we can also change some properties of the highlights. So highlights.parents equals character, and highlights dot outline color equals color 3 dot new 0,255,0. I chose green, but you can choose any color you like. And the last property is going to be highlight.fill transparency equals 1. We only want to show an outline and not a fill, so we can set this to 1. Now we need to add them to this list. So characters in zone, then these brackets, and in these brackets we're going to put character equals true. Now why do we use two lists? Well, the characters in zone list is actually going to be used for checking if a character is new to the zone. So if they just entered, so we can give them this. And it will also be used to check whenever a character leaves the zone. So now for the last loop, we're going to check any characters that left the zone. So for this, we're going to loop over the characters in zone, check are they also inside of the characters checklist, and if they are not, we know that they left the zone and we can remove their force field and highlight. So for character, comma v in pairs, characters in zone, do. Now we can check if they are also inside of this list. So if not, characters checked, and then these brackets, and in these brackets we're going to put character, then. So we know that they left the zone and we can remove their force field and highlight. So local force field equals character find first child of class force field. And now that we know that they have a force field, we can remove this. So force field destroy. Now we can do the same for the outline. So local highlights equals character find first child of class highlights. And now we can remove this also. So highlights destroy. Now we also need to remove them from this list because they left the zone. So characters in zone, character equals nil. Now this will run a lot and this will be very hard for the server to do. So we need to add a wait. So we can say task.wait 0.1. Also, I just want to quickly mention, you can find all the scripts of my tutorials on my Discord server, and if you wish to download the project files, these are available on my Patreon. So now we need to test it out, so let's go over to close the script, the little close icon here. So in order to test it, we need to actually damage the player. So let's go over to workspace and let's insert a part. We're going to select this part and again use the scale tool to make it bigger. We want one half of the part to be inside of the safe zone and the other part outside. So let's scale it up like this, and let's move it inside of this safe zone part, like this. Now we can make it look a bit better, so by changing the brick color inside of the properties to red, and changing the color, the material to neon, it already looks a lot better. So now let's actually program it. So let's select the part, and let's insert a script. First, we need to detect whenever someone touches the part. So script.parents.touched connects function hit. So now we need to check whatever hit the part is actually a player. So local humanoid equals hit dot parents find first child humanoids. And if they have a humanoid, we know that they are a player. So if humanoids, then, and now we can damage the humanoids, the character. So we can say humanoids take damage, and in here we can say how much damage they should take. So let's say 3. So now let's close the script and test it out. So let's click on play, let it load, and if we try to touch the lava part outside of the safe zone, we will get damaged. As you can see, we get damaged. However, if we go into the safe zone, we gain a little outline. And if we try walking over the part, we do not get any damage. A force field actually protects them from the take damage event. So if you try editing the value of our humanoid health inside of the Explorer itself, this will still allow you to change the health value to, for example, 50. However, the take damage event won't work anymore. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one.